My name is Gravity, and on this episode of the Battlefield Show, Julian and I discuss the Battlefield 2042 Season 3 event, the Battle of Nordvik. Will this 3-week experience be better than the last one? Jets in 2042. Ground armor is already set to get a major pass this season, but holy crap do Jets need it next. Season 4 content, map updates, and another new map. Could it be another meat grinder? The Manifest rework. More thoughts on the port map's new layout. Finally, another look ahead at the class system. More thoughts on the upcoming major game changes. Joining us this week is Twitch streamer VonRuhm to discuss all these topics and more. This is the Battlefield Show.
All right, welcome back to the Battlefield Show, everybody. My name is JulianJanganoo. I'll be your host of the Battlefield Show, and of course, I'm joined here once again by Gravity, my co-host, and VonRuhm with the celebratory cigar, probably after the World Cup, I guess. I don't know, or enjoying Christmas. Beautiful tree in the back there. We are joined here. Yeah, we are joined here by VonRuhm, Battlefield streamer, good friend of the show, and thank you so much for showing so much interest in the program, and I'd love to have you on. Welcome on into the Battlefield Show. VonRuhm, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How's you guys' Sunday going?
It's going pretty good. Again, like I said, I woke up pretty early for the World Cup, and then I had to go take a nap. But there's a lot of exciting stuff to talk about for Battlefield coming up, as we have like an event coming up. There's a whole bunch of free-to-play stuff for PlayStation people going on right now. And there's a lot to look forward to in Season 4 and Season 5. But first, let's get to know you, VonRuhm. What's your background in Battlefield? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I started, my first Battlefield was 1943, the one that came out on Xbox.
Yeah.
So, like, I had a friend that always used to play that, I guess, on the original, like, Xbox 360 to Xbox, early Xbox One. And so I would just dabble with it, whatever, but it wasn't like something serious. But it just got me used to the concept of how Battlefield works, you know, obviously the traditional conquest and things like that. And then I also played a lot of the original, the Battlefronts, which is also loosely similar, you know, obviously similar.
The Star Wars ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then during that whole time frame, though, most of the games I usually played at the time were like GTA, and I used to play FIFA competitively. And then I met a friend on GTA who became like a competitive Battlefield 4 comp player. So he used to be in a group called Wheel. It was like on Xbox. I think it was an Xbox comp team. And so when he had switched over to PC, you know, that was the first game I started playing on PC was Battlefield 4. But again, it was still like, it still wasn't like the main game I would play. And then just by like, I guess, just the swing of things, how games have been recently, there hasn't been a lot of interesting games to play, period. So Battlefield, when 2042 came out, it was like a thing that we had like, all right, we were all hyped for it, and we were just going to go ahead and go full force. You know, I made a community team called Crusader, which is like doubles as my my Discord channel for my channel, and then so that's basically 2042 is the first one, unfortunately, but and fortunately that I've really just gone full force with. But I've always dabbled in multiple games on the way through different Battlefield games. But what interested me the most, even like when it wasn't like a full-time thing, was just flying. Piloting has always been a big thing for me. Even in the Star Wars games, just like the Battlefront games. That's
Is that where you got started with the whole flying and pilot kind of modes?
yeah, well,
pretty much.
Star Wars games, and I played a lot of Ace Combat too.
Oh, there you go.
So that's been I guess my main influences, and then I don't know if there's anybody else out there that plays 2042 with a flight stick. I haven't met anybody, but I feel like I'm the only one. Yeah, and the only way I was able to get it to work though was to translate it through like an Xbox and adapter, and it's like so just a lot of the movements are just I guess like key translations over. I just keep binding them over.
Wait, yeah, I think I remember reading that 2042 didn't have joystick support.
No, it doesn't. No.
Yeah,
that's is that the first Battlefield game to not have that? Or like main title? I don't know. That's kind of weird though. Yeah, it is rare. It is rare to have people still use that type of accessory, I guess you can say. Joysticks used to be a huge thing in the past for even Star Wars games. Man, old school PC Star Wars games. I actually use a joystick. I remember buying one because my uncle was playing God, what's that really old one with IG-88 was like he was a boss. Remember what's that game called again? Do you remember?
Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire, right. And there's a lot of flying in there too. I end up using my joystick quite a bit on that. But yeah, that's pretty. I didn't know you used that. So does it work out pretty well for you in 2042?
It does more. I mean, like the traditional, it doesn't work as well as like in Battlefield 5 because there's a lot more. If you guys, I mean, I'm pretty sure most pilots know this about this particular Battlefield game where it's not planes aren't as versatile when it comes to movement as the other Battlefield games.
Right.
Like especially like that, and then like the free look while moving, and things like that. So I think it allows it to be a little bit more easier to control because of it. I bought this adapter that so like whenever because these are supposed to be like Xbox like an Xbox headset. Sure. So whenever it goes in through the Bluetooth adapter, it registers as an Xbox controller, even though it's a headset. So it's the same thing. Like I was able to do that and translate it as if it was an Xbox controller, but it still works because you just keybind the specific movements as if it were an Xbox controller. Okay. So it's the only way I was able to get it to do it because I didn't spend all that money just for it not to work. So
well, that's good to know because I'm sure there's tons of new players coming in that have that. They just have those lying around, and there's some pretty advanced ones because I'm sure. I mean, maybe you might be able to answer this. Like, those flying simulators, like Microsoft Flight Sim. I've seen some crazy setups. I think some people use either the wheels or a joystick for like I don't know jet combat or whatever. But you mentioned Ace Combat. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Do the majority of Ace Combat players actually use joystick, like advanced systems, or like what kind of system do you have?
When I played Ace Combat, because this was still back when I had an Xbox. Believe it or not, I'm fairly new to PC. I joined the party late. So I started. So 2042 was the first game that I really just went full force with PC. I use a VPC Constellation Alpha R. Usually people have like those advanced setups. People have like foot pedals and they have their throttle.
Right.
And it's like that's there's I think it's War Thunder that a lot of people usually use that in. Ace Combat for me was always just controller back in the day, but
gotcha.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, those setups like you were saying are crazy. But yeah, I've dabbled with Microsoft Flight Simulator as well too here and there, but yeah, that's
so let's recap real quick. So 1943, which was I think was it Xbox only?
Yes.
I think Xbox only arcade game, which is really goofy. It has a lot of interesting features in there. I don't think any other Battlefield game has. If it does, Like I remember you go into like a bunker and you can call in like air raids.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other Battlefield that is exactly like that.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't know, maybe Gravity. Do you know if any other older game had that feature?
Well, correction, it
Or
was
like
also on
don't.
PS3, but I don't recall. No, none of
Oh,
the older
okay.
ones had that kind of airstrike or anything.
Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting stuff there. So you went from that into BF4, you said?
Yeah, and that was only like
Oh, so okay.
I literally played that casually, like it, because I was going between 3 different games.
Oh, I see. I
That's
see.
so like when my friend, his name was his original tag was Pac-Man RX,
Mhm.
and he's the one that played competitively. He was the one that basically got me into playing Battlefield, period, like on a consistent basis. But um, when I when I played Battlefield 4 here and there, I think the game I was playing the most was Destiny, that I was playing competitively.
Yes.
Destiny 1 and then into Destiny 2. But yeah, so yeah, that was the transition to the when it came to Battlefield Succession was Battlefield 1943 and then into 4. And then
Okay.
when 2042 launched, um after it had like started having all of its original problems, um there was a fluctuation where I started playing Battlefield 5. um dude, the way Battlefield 5 planes feel, I love. I wish 2042 had the this is like a similar setup, especially when it comes to like having rocket pods and bombs and things like that. Like that's another thing if you want to touch on later too is
Yeah.
the way I think jets should be in this game.
Oh man. Well, I mean, yeah, we'll get into that. I wanted to yeah, and all the like the new vehicle changes and like the vehicle menu and all that stuff. Now that people
Mhm.
can play jets a lot, I'm sure you're really excited about that.
Oh hell yeah, dude.
But before we get into that, what got you into streaming, like on Twitch, or did you
Um,
stream elsewhere at one time?
no, it's kind of it's funny because it comes back to that guy I was telling you about, Pac-Man.
Uh-huh.
He he always used to tell me that, dude, like you should totally you stream with like you have a really goofy ass personality, it would work well, blah blah blah,
Yeah, you do.
so so he wasn't wrong. So yeah, whenever because I thought about it for years and I never really just applied it. And that's, I think a lot of it had to do because I was on console for so long.
Hmm.
But when I switched to PC, it just I think my one of my biggest motivations was Baronox and Kaiser von Grauer, especially Kaiser. Kaiser von Grauer is one of my favorites, obviously because he also flies a lot of planes and things like that too in Battlefield 5, and so I think that watching those two really got me into streaming, or giving me that push to be like, what, fuck it, I'll do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I started this. This is my first year of streaming. I'm not even at a full year yet. Um, I contemplated it 2 years ago. My account has been around for that long, but
Okay.
never started. So, and then there was I think other than this past month, I stopped and slowed down for a little bit. Some health issues. But I'm fully recovered from that.
Nice. That's good to hear,
So,
man.
um, so now I'm getting back into the swing of things. So I'm pushing. I'm just gonna keep going. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy it. It's something that I never thought I would enjoy as much as I have.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's a bunch of new stuff coming for 2042. Surprisingly, they're putting out quite a bit of content and adding in these events, even though the first one was very lackluster. So let's get into these
yeah.
mid-season events. I did touch upon um a couple shows ago when they did the first one, the Liquidators event.
Hmm.
And that was kind of a surprise. And I am not even sure if they were even planning on doing this. Maybe they had the idea and the concept, but they didn't know like where to put it in. But then it just kind of showed up like all of a sudden. And I was like, well, this is really interesting. and they were able to set up a new tab to where you can play the event specifically and earn rewards during like it was like a week, right? Or 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
What was the
Yeah.
first one? Yeah, first one was 2 weeks. But the biggest downside and the biggest controversy that came out of it is that 90% of all the things you saw in the trailer and all the things that are in the store, you have to buy them with
Yeah.
real money or the boins to get them. You earned very little by playing the actual game modes that came out. They were more infantry focused, and some were just the maps were either way too big or it was way too, or just right. I think the second week worked out really well. The 8v8 for those maps kind of seemed a little boring for a lot of people, and
Yeah.
then they increased that size 16, and it seemed just right for me. It was a little chaotic at that time, but that's what happened then. So now we have our second mid-season event, which is kind of an early season event. I mean, the season 3 literally just started a couple weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago. So the thing is, what's slightly different, if we can show that graphic gravity of the rewards you can get, I believe. Oh, there's another one that shows like the whole list. Yeah, from Battlefield Bulletin. I know this one might be a little hard to read, but it shows 2 main bundles, which is yeah, I think you see in the store bundles.
Mhm.
There's like a lot in each, right? But it seems that each week you seem to be getting more stuff you can earn, because there's more uh, login rewards that are free in the store in comparison to last mid-season event. So this is kind of a plus. And I don't know if this is true, but it looks like week 3 doesn't have any store bundles. I don't know. It looks like he just ran out of room. I'm not really sure, so um I can't confirm that. And that this information also might be on the main website. I'm not sure about that, but
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just trying to take a look here. It's very possible that he just ran out of room for that. But
yeah. So there's 3 weeks this time. So it's a
Yeah.
longer event, and it's going to lead us into the new update, which will come a little later in January, where I think we will be getting the class system, and also we might be getting the remake of Breakaway, but I'm not really sure. I don't know. This season's kind of long, but maybe you guys can touch upon
I
that.
think we're looking towards February, honestly, for both of those. I don't think
Oh,
we're gonna,
really?
maybe Breakaway
Uh,
might hit January, maybe late January, but I mean I think at
I was going to ask you
tail
guys.
end of the season for the class system. I think that's just bare end of the season.
I got you. I got you. So maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that the next patch is 3.2. Is that correct?
I don't know off the top of my head.
It should
Okay,
be.
because 3.2 is when they said the class system will be revealed. Um, I guess I could be wrong about that. But yeah, I mean, they said it was going to be at the tail end of season 3 anyway, in the past. But I don't know. I was really pretty much set on the next patch will have the class system. But I could be wrong about that. Sorry if I am.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it could be. I mean, I think it really kind of depends on how good they feel going into the new year, whether or not they're going to take a few weeks off for the
right.
holidays like they
Yeah.
normally do. How do we feel
Mhm.
about the 3 events here, the 3 weeks of different game modes?
Yeah. So we have 3 modes, right? The first one is Conquest Assault. So we've seen this before. Do you remember VonRuhm? Wake Island was on 1943, and that is a notorious and very well known
Mhm.
Conquest Assault map, where basically, the I think it was a Chinese faction had the island, right? All the flags are controlled by them, and then the U.S. are attacking. Correct? Gravity? You're
I think it's Japan.
It's Japan in
Japanese.
1943.
Sorry, I got it
and the
confused.
U.S.
Sorry
have
about
the
that.
island. The only time it's ever reversed.
Japanese,
The
my
only
bad.
time it's ever reversed is in BF5 because they're stupid. Apparently, yeah.
My bad.
It was just because they were lazy and didn't want to make any Japanese naval assets. That's the only reason they made them for the U.S. and were like, hey, whatever, well, the U.S. take them back down. But yeah, it's always been the U.S. On the island, including in BF2 and BF3 when there was the Chinese that were trying to take back the island.
Oh, wait, so I was right. In BF2, the Chinese had.
They were not on the island. They were. No, I take that back. The Chinese were on the mainland. U.S. were on the carrier. Yeah.
Okay, so I was right. Okay, I was thinking back to Battlefield 2 because that's my favorite Wake Island or most played Wake Island. On that, maybe that. Okay, that's why.
Yeah, because there were 2 J10s on the runway. Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. So I was right about that. But yeah, Conquest Assault. Right. So, you know what I'm talking about, VonRuhm, when when they have no uncap. You basically, if the Chinese or the Japanese or the Americans that hold the main island at first lose all their flags,
Right.
That's it. Like you can only spawn on your teammates or just kind of try to survive it out, but you'll start bleeding tickets. But once everyone's dead on the defender side, it's game over. So they're basically going to do that before Spearhead. And correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like Spearhead is at nighttime. What do you guys think about that?
That should be interesting.
It looks like they changed the. I mean, yeah, it looks kind of rainy, kind of nighty. So we'll see what happens.
Looks pretty dark, yeah. Well, I mean, they got that. Everyone has their IR goggles on for like skins and everything. It looks like they're really pushing the night map stuff that a lot of people want, but in the past, night maps are not very popular from what I remember.
It really depends on how it's played, but yeah, how they're developed.
Yeah.
Also, it's not like there's any flair or anything for that you can use in the game either.
Right. And that would be another thing we'd have to worry about in 2042. So I don't know if they'll ever add anything like that. You guys think they'll add something? It would
be a surprise, but I don't think it would be difficult. But
yeah, I wouldn't put it past him.
Okay, so that's week 1. Week 2.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think the thing that kind of prevents any reasonable implementation of night goggles is the fact that there's no real night maps. So it's not really what's the point if everything's in broad daylight.
Right.
True.
So.
Okay, so this is like a cloudy version of
this isn't really
Spearhead.
This is rainy and cloudy rather than dark night. Anyway, yes, then there's number 2, which is week 2 is 16v16 Rush.
So it's like a retribution. So
it's just Rush. It's 16v16 Rush.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, didn't it have some sort of conquest kind of feature as well? It's like a mix, right?
No, it just said attack, defend.
Or is that the 3rd week?
No, the 3rd week was that was the 64 breakthrough.
Yeah.
Okay, so from how I read it, the 3rd week sounds like grand operations from Battlefield 5. No. This 2nd week is, because the 3rd week is breakthrough 128. That's what the last week is.
Right.
Breakthrough 128. They're bringing it back, right? The retribution seems to be like a grand ops to where in Battlefield 5 to where you start one game mode, finish that day, and then you play a different game mode, finish that day, and then you play another one.
Where did you read that? Because this does not look like that at all. This looks entirely like Rush.
So go to the main Nordvik event page, and then it shows you what each week means. So here.
Week 2. Get ready for 16v16 twist on Conquest, which combines the Conquest, Breakthrough, and Rush into a single game mode. Okay, so I'm wrong. Where attackers fight their way towards the front lines while securing objectives along the way. Interesting. He plays.
Success towards victory. Oh, okay.
So read that out here.
Oh, you
if
know
you
what it
are,
is? It's
yeah,
front
what?
lines. It's 16.
It's front lines?
It's front lines. You play front lines was the sector, and then when you get to the end, it's the 3 bombs, which is you plant. It's you plant the MCOMs. That's exactly what it is. It's front lines.
Well, okay. Well, because they mentioned Conquest, so
now I'm hyped because that was my favorite game mode of BF5.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Not bad.
It was
that was the best game mode. There's just the maps kind of sucked for it. But yeah. So if we're talking front lines here, this is a game mode where essentially you fight for a flag at a time. And it's tug of war. The teams go back and forth, and as you capture that flag, then it'll proceed to the next sector. So you break through, but you can be pushed back. And that's where that tug of war comes in. And then once you get to the main base, you have to arm 2 or 3 MCOMs in order to actually win the round. And if they successfully defend, then they push you back to that first flag again. Which is
Have you
really
ever tried
cool.
that one before, VonRuhm? Have you ever played Frontlines before?
No, not that I can remember. No.
It was in BF5 exclusively in BF5 for a while. I think that was the first game that had it, and then they eventually discarded it because the player count was too low in the game and they couldn't sustain all the multiple game modes.
So I believe Portal also featured Frontlines not too long ago, but it was kind of janky, I guess. Do you guys remember that?
No, I don't.
I remember seeing something, but I never seen it being used in Portal.
Okay, gotcha. So the only thing that's confusing me here is the Conquest part of it. How does that fit in?
Because it's just you're capturing flags. That's why.
So you do that first?
No,
or you're doing it while you do Breakthrough.
It's like Breakthrough. You're just capturing flags as you progress through the round.
Like in Spearhead, you would start and cap the first 2 ace flags, right? And then that's all that's available, and then you go to the next set of flags?
Yes.
Or sector?
Yep.
Okay.
It would play like Breakthrough, except you can get pushed back. Yep.
Okay, cool. I remember in Frontlines, there's a lot of strategy and a lot of tomfoolery too, because you don't necessarily have to advance. You can just bet on your team that they would advance, and you can have a head start. You can have like a whole squad, like all the way on the other side where you would open up to cap. And you can start capping early as the lines are being pushed back or respawning. There's a lot of strategy in Frontlines, and new players really need to watch out on the defense there, because people will get away with a lot of stuff, especially people who played it a lot.
The cool thing is
in Battlefield
with
5.
Frontlines, in BF5 they actually had to minimize the map borders because they couldn't use the full maps because the maps were enormous. So they kind of had to pick one flag and pick one route and go across. Spearhead's kind of like the perfect map for it because you get the perfect breakthrough layout anyway. So yeah, I think they might even utilize the whole map for that. So yeah, that's really cool. This could be really fun. We'll see how people enjoy it.
I think that was the problem with when they released the first event with the 8v8 was just they didn't utilize the maps properly. If the maps were smaller for those 8v8s, then I think it would have been totally fine. I've even saw some people using those 3 capture points playing some B flag with it, but those maps were so like way too big for 8v8.
Yep.
They weren't
100%.
too big for 8v8. They were too big for 8v8 public games. Comp players would have had no problem with that. Yeah. Because a comp team would have said, have that one person anchor at a flag, have the other 3 go in. It would have been sweaty. It would have been fine for comp play, but there is no comp play. So yeah, for pubbing for sure, it wasn't too. They were too big. Anyway, so yeah, then we got week number 3, which is the return of 128 Breakthrough.
Okay. Well, VonRuhm, are you on the 128 side or the 64 side? Because there seems to be people picking sides here.
I enjoyed the 128 because I used to fly in it, but now that's no longer an issue, no longer possible. So I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing the vehicles are also out of this one too. Yes,
I would imagine they don't have attack helos like they used to in the 128 Breakthrough.
Yeah. So I prefer this. I prefer the 64 actually, but I know it was pretty chaotic as an infantry, but I don't know. I'm actually excited to see how this goes because you never know how. I mean, it's supposed to be, what is it? Everything's supposed to be more fast paced, like the bullet velocity and your run speed and all that stuff, right?
Oh God, what? Really?
Usually
when you're right. Right there, that last sentence. Yeah.
Increased movement speed, faster rate of play times, and faster vehicle. Jesus.
Oh no. So this is like the Friday night battlefields.
Well,
always have that kind of stuff.
That increases bullet velocity. This isn't going to have that, but faster vehicle collins is interesting.
I'll tell you how this is going to go, though. There are going to be massive hind and condor farms.
I don't think so. Match. I don't think so, and I say that purely because with 64 players in that tight place, those condors have nowhere to hide. They can use the cubes and stuff, but
I mean, like if you have a full team, I mean, like if you're like someone like Captain Hind or or
like really good hind players,
from the heavens, they'll find a way. But maybe not on average. Maybe you have a point there. Yeah,
we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be pure chaos regardless. Like, I think that's what they're going for. And they've been touting these game modes on Portal and on Friday Night Battlefield all the time. 128 player rush.
Itself.
All those small designed game modes are being just like, look what we can do now. It's going to be crazy. All right. And people love it, dude. People love the shit out of this stuff. I think it's going to be a huge win for them, though some of the community is just gonna be like, oh, this is not for me, this is too crazy. And the game is crazy, and I did want to talk about that later on down the line. But anyway, that's the third week. It's back, everybody. Yay.
I'm just going to assume here that the footage they used was not of the breakthrough mode because there's a stealth and attack helicopter in there.
Oh shit.
Oh Jesus. That's what I'm thinking.
Assume that they didn't, that this is just stock footage.
I understand.
I don't know, man.
I could understand why they removed choppers, I suppose, from breakthrough, because I mean, especially with the bombs, but like, I don't know. I feel like, and maybe it's a little bit biased, maybe not. I don't know. I guess you guys can be the judge of it. But I feel like jets could still stay in breakthrough. And the reason why I say that is because let's say there are those people that know how to use those hinds and condors very well, and it's like, obviously there's a lot of already like implemented AA. We'll get to that later. But I feel like maybe jets, it's not like they have JDAMs or rocket pods, which they should. But you know what I'm saying? I feel like maybe that would detour a lot of the hind and condor farming in general, or to even protect them.
It would. No, for sure. That's a direct threat. Are the jets to condors and whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let's talk about that really briefly, real quick. Now that jets have their own category, how has that been working for you, VonRuhm?
Oh, dude, there's no problem getting it anymore.
They having a good time with them. Like, so let's talk about what you want to add for jets. What is your wishes to improve jet gameplay, because it's really been in the background this whole time?
Mm-hmm. Their jets are extremely underutilized. You go, you take down a jet. Okay, so now you're up there alone. Let's say you go take out the enemy chopper. Okay, so you're up there alone. They buffed the 25s, so you can kill infantry a little bit better. But I wish that if you hit infantry, the way it was in Battlefield 5, like I said, like just for if you were just to use your guns alone, that's how it needs to be in 2042. If you hit one round on an infantry, they should die. Especially how hard it is for some people to aim with the jets as you're going down, and you only get one chance at it. It's not like a chopper where you can just spin around and literally just like harass the infantry.
Can't you hover with one of the jets?
Yeah,
you can,
but you should be able. I mean, that should be a super high risk, high reward thing, because I mean, you're vulnerable to everything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because as soon as you go into VTOL, you got Liz missiles. You got like I'll go over how it goes. So this is this is the comparison between the anti-air and jets. Okay, this is what anti-air options you have: Stingers, Liz missiles, Rauhacks, SOFLAMs, Railgun, Rail Tank, Wildcat AAs, and its 600-meter range and guns and lock missiles. The Ram AAs, the Ram AA missiles, Flax on tanks, Mavs, and Wildcats. Tow missiles on tanks and hovercrafts. And that's not to mention, like, they're going to bring in the dart gun again eventually. They're going to bring in more anti-lock-on missile choices and gadgets. And then this is how what the Jets have to counter: flares and AGMs. That's it. They have nothing else. So
I mean, what else would they have? I mean, what else?
Rocket pods. They need rocket pods, and they need JDAMs. Now, you don't have to have, like, they're going to have AGMs and rocket pods and JDAMs, like all at once. Obviously you can have like an option selection. So it's like I feel like a main loadout should be, you can choose between your 25s and 30 millimeter guns, and then you have rocket pods as a secondary option, and then you can choose between AGMs, JDAMs, or like radars or IRs. Because everybody who isn't like a competitive or a competitive pilot, they're just gonna run the lock-on missiles, the radars, and then the guns. Hardly anybody uses the guns anyways. Most people I go up against, they just want to get an angle on you, and they'll just shoot the radars at you. They won't even try to use their guns. So I feel like there should be other options other than like I said, just choosing between AGMs and lock-on missiles. I feel like the average player won't get more than 10, jet kills in a match. And half the time when you're up there, you're bored. It's there needs to be more. I'm not saying like make them to where it's like they're just farmable, like you just destroy fucking infantry consistently. But they need to be more versatile. And considering this is 2042, there's no way that these planes have like less availability at their they're disposed, like they're just disposed to like being so they should have more to them than just the guns and missiles.
Well, on top of that, most maps only have one of them now, so it's not like they're going to be an overpowered thing. Two, correct. The spotting system in the game is absolutely terrible. So it's not like BF4 or BF5 where the map would light up like a Christmas tree if you were super far away from it. So you could literally zero in on everything you wanted to shoot. This game is like, you really need to spot something on the way in and just get lucky with it. Yep. So I'm 100% with VonRuhm about this. Yeah, the gun should do a lot more damage and practically one-shot infantry, or you get close to it anyway.
Well, speaking of the spotting has improved though. Before,
not really. I don't.
The Q spotting helps a lot. I know. I've been flying around that stupid drone from Casper. Now I've just been clicking to spot people. You could do that, but when you hit the Q spot, it does like a little bit of an area around them, and it spots like multiple people sometimes. But usually, you have to be the crosshair has to be directly on the dude to get the successful Q spot. Yeah, I wonder if that's helping you guys in the jets as well.
Not really. It helps a lot with ground vehicles. That's something I've wanted for a long time. I love that about Battlefield 5 is that anytime you come in for a path where you go and reload your ammunitions and your loadout, you turn around, you'd be able to know where things are at, or when things are being like a direct threat. Here it's like you're kind of lost. It's you got to really have a sharp eye, or at least remember where they were the last time you came around. When you look at your third person view, you can't move around. So half the time when I'm going back up into the air and I rear view down to see what's behind me, the plane itself is in the way of wherever the Wildcat is trying to maneuver to. You know what I'm saying? So it's dude, and I'm telling you, Wildcats need a nerf, man. They do. And not they will one frame anybody who's not in their own I guess their own server range. Yeah, it's like they if you there's nothing you can do if you are if you're not directly above them you're screwed, right? And that's not to mention all the other stuff that's like happening to you. Like I said, with all the other AA things that are going. You look at what
guns, yeah.
If you look at what happens to Ash, he spawns in, dude. He spawns in, and there's like 8 Liz missiles coming at him at the same time.
Yeah, but that's different. That's different. That's a community thing there. That's a community of idiots
and it's
going
a
after them.
thing with Liz rockets, but jets are less likely to hit from a Liz rocket. I 100% completely agree with the what is it, the 30mm cannons on the AA, because that is just ridiculous. Or the 30 or the 20s, I forget what they are, but yeah, the fact that they're cross map and they just you're right. You can 100% track and obliterate a jet before they even know it would hit them. And I think on Eureka Harvey, there's 2 of them. You can get 2 of them per team, which is ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah, you just shut down all air and just base camp a team with just the AAs. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. Yep. Those things need a nerf.
I mean,
jets. For the record, just the 20 or 30mm, nothing else, because everything else is okay. It needs a huge damage drop off for sure, or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
hey, and then jets scare me, dude, for sure.
I do like how the 30mm on the jet, how much damage they do to vehicles. That is perfect. Although the spread is, you cannot shoot infantry worth a damn with those 30s with a jet, like at all. The spread is absolutely terrible.
I think they're meant to be anti-vehicle anyway. More
correct. Yeah, that's like, I'm just saying, like, I feel like there are the options are so limited with jets. I understand how choppers have been a problem, like for infantry since the beginning of the game, especially like when 128 breakthrough was around. It's still like, even with when it was around in 64, it's just, I feel like jets got a lot of the flack, no pun intended, a lot of the flack of the backlash of like air vehicles in general, and so I feel like it's time that jets kind of became more versatile and actually just to get a little bit more attention, more of a priority and viability.
I think that I half agree with that and half completely disagree with that. I think the complete air vehicles have been split into 2 categories: overpowered helicopters at launch and absolutely terrible jets at launch. There's like a huge difference. Jets have never been a problem in this game because of how completely underpowered and underbalanced and under-designed they were. The flight physics of the jets are still terrible. The way that the flares work is terrible. You can still get locked through practically anything. And more importantly, the fact that one of those jets still... You were able to, if you're pitching down, if you turn pitching down, you actually turn faster than if you were pitching up and dogfighting. So if you if you dogfight backward, you can completely outperform. Yeah. And it's only one jet that gets it. I don't remember which one it was, but
the SU-57.
Yeah. So they need the flight physics need a redesign. The weight of the aircraft needs a redesign. The weapon systems need a redesign. And at least a buff in some regard, because the jets are the worst thing about 2042.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. It's I believe the turn times. This was from. He doesn't play the game anymore because of this. His name was iFly Aircraft.
Yep, we know.
He did a video. He did a video where it showed the turn speed for one full turn was like 9.3 seconds for the F-35 and like 6.2. or 6.7 for the SU-57. So like that's a 3-second difference, right? The SU-57 had always had the advantage over the F-35. And I think the reasoning was like, well, the F-35 been VTOL. Well, it's like, okay, yeah. But by the time the VTOL goes back and you go back into your normal mode, that SU-57 is already right back on your ass anyways. So there's no balance at all. And then another thing, I'd really like them to bring in attack jets, dude. I want that A10 to come into the main game really bad.
Yeah, we were just talking about that on stream the other day. Of like, why is it impossible to bring the A10 from Portal into the main game?
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was, I don't know, there was the data mine of a, I guess a supposed like it looks like a drone bomber, like a Russian drone bomber, like S-70.
Oh yes. It looks like a stealth bomber kind of looking thing.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, well, if this is 2042, and now that I'm actually able to talk about it, it would be really nice is that if they brought that into the game and the U.S. counter to it, the U.S. Bomber version of it would be the B-21, the one I actually had.
The new one they revealed, right?
Yep, the one I actually got to work on in real life. So I think that would be amazing if they did that.
Fucking cool, dude.
So here's the hot take. I think given the fact that every vehicle category except for jets have had a new vehicle added, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to see an extra jet added type for season 4 or 5. But generally I would think that they would release it in conjunction with a map that would feature well on it, and an infantry dominated close quarters map is probably not the map for it. So we'll see what they do. I would like to see a new vehicle added.
Yeah, maybe for that season 5 BF4 map. I mean, most of those,
a lot of them jets. Attack jets, yeah.
Exactly. The last thing I want to add here for jets, I'm very in the past Battlefield games, I'm very scared of jets. They would destroy me constantly, and this is mostly due to the bombing raids. It was like an option, especially in Battlefield 2. Every time I want to cap a flag, here comes a jet, bombs my ass to smithereens. Sometimes there are 3 of them in a row, kind of like a linear scatter. And then when the old timey games came out, like Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, they just had air bombing raids that were just a scatter of like 1,000 bombs. That was not fun either, but those weren't jets. But of course, they were jets back then.
So as somebody who's played all these games, I think that BF4 has probably done it best with the JDAM because it's a single bomb. You can get a couple kills if people are close, and the damage to vehicles was fairly reasonable. Those past games where you can just carpet bomb. I remember in BF2 where you have the 5 bombs that would just carpet bomb with the F-15 and stuff. That was excessive, extremely excessive.
It was
BF1s was excessive.
I'm so scared.
BF5. The bombs themselves were good because they were balanced. It was the fact that the missiles weren't balanced in BF5. Those were a little because you could shoot them from a mile away, and they were gonna just pepper a whole area and get instant kills. So I think BF going back to the BF4 mode with a bomb would be fine.
A JDAM, okay, yeah. I mean, you did mention that quite a bit, but no, like, are you in favor of like a linear bomb raid from a jet? Like a bomb drop?
I prefer if they don't do it or if it's low damage. Because I mean,
because that
like
would
a payload,
fuck up.
like
a payload, just a flyby payload.
I think the problem with it is I would be okay with it, but it really depends on reload speed. Like if a jet needed to go back to an airfield or take a minute to reload it, I'd be okay with it.
What the stealth chopper does, put it on jets.
But with the stealth, that's a totally different separate argument. The stealth chopper shouldn't get those high-powered bombs anyway. And I still think the stealth chopper reloads the bombs too fast as it is. But if you were to have something like that where it's like 30 seconds to 45 seconds to reload a massive payload, sure, I'd be okay with that. I still think the JDAM single bomb option is better.
Okay, great. Great topic on that. Let's move on to free to play double XP real quick. Free to play has come back for PlayStation right now. I think probably by the time this episode comes out, it'll still be going for PlayStation, and since 2042 is the first cross-platform game that they had in the franchise, this is gonna be a big boost in numbers. We already saw that for the first one for PC and Xbox, huge boost in numbers, and it kind of maintained quite a bit. There's a lot of streamers that are playing it, whether it's for ad revenue purposes or not, but they're still bringing in new people. And double XP is being put in. The tech is being put in. Like this is the second or third time we've had double XP, probably third time I think at this point, and it gives people tons of XP. I even got complaints from people saying, "Oh, I'm already at rank 80 for the battle pass." Like these are people who play every day, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh no, why is it going so fast? Like I just started the season. I'm already gonna get everything." And I had to remind them, like, double XP is huge. It goes a long way. Plus, you get double XP in the battle pass while you're earning it. So this is great for new people, so they can earn more faster because they don't play as often as you do. So I think it's a great thing. What are you guys' takes on double XP and free to play? VonRuhm, go ahead.
I think, like you said, it's good. It's good for new players, get them to catch up. Because I mean, a lot of people would agree that the way the game is right now, even maybe a little bit more tweaks. But I feel like the game should have been released at closer to a state at what it shit is now than when it did. So trying to, I guess, good for catching those people up. I haven't run into too many hackers because I know usually when things go free to play, people are able to just get a different account. That was the biggest problem I think in Destiny. People would just, it'd be Trials was in free to play and people would just make a new account whenever they got banned. But I haven't seen it too much. There are a few names that I know that are still have not been banned, but I don't know. Like I think overall it's a good thing, especially like you said. Honestly, it's the best. It's the focal point, I think, and the reason why I think they're doing it is to get those people caught up. And I mean, I would periodically only have it every once in a great while, maybe not every patch, or just like maybe once or twice a season tops. But yeah, I think it's overall a good thing. Free to play maybe. I think it really just depends on how long they're gonna keep the free to play going. But I think overall we need more players in the game to begin with. Considering when it launched, there was only, I think, like 900 to 1200 on PC at one point. So yeah, I mean, I think overall it's a good thing.
What do you think, Rav?
I think I agree with pretty much everything VonRuhm said about people being in the game, and it's good exposure. We haven't really had a cheating problem in the game, which is nice. The only downside of it really is with the free to play is we've seen a lot of really inexperienced players hop in the game and do really stupid things. We've seen
somewhere.
So many people just, well, it's not even trying. It's like I'll see a lot of people just take jets and just using the taxi or jet ram, or I'll see people take the Condor and they don't know about that they have to hit the Z key, so they'll fly at super slow speed out of spawn, and everybody will get pissed about it. Or they don't know that they need to bail out of the Amtrak.
Do you think that should be default, the fast speed, when spawning into a VTOL?
Yeah, I think so, especially with the rail tank in it the way it is now, and people will camp at it. He takes two shots and the thing's deleted. So yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
That'd be a good change. I could agree with that.
For the proning thing, for just a lot of the new players or whatever, or maybe people that just do it deliberately because I don't know. I think honestly at this point, I know this might be a little bit bit too much, but I feel like usually if you're going in prone, I feel like you either need to be reloading or rehealing. Or if you're, obviously if you're like far away and you're sniping, right? But it's like I feel like there should be a fire delay. A fire delay if you're prone longer than 3 seconds, because there's people that just do that all game. They'll just wait for somebody to run around the corner, and then they'll just, I got your ankles. I don't know, but it's just, I think maybe it's just from my personal experience because I run into that every game now.
So here's the thing: I don't disagree with you, and I absolutely hate. I've hated prone players since the day I started playing Battlefield, just because that's the way it is, and they'll always be in a stupid position, or they'll always be behind cover, camping on the far side of a map. And to be fair, that's another one of those things I've seen more with the free to play people is people that sit near the uncap with just LMGs and bipods and max scopes and just try to, like, you're not helping at all, and all you're doing is pissing me off, right? So it's just one of those things that is more consistent now. It's a weird. The topic of prone in a Battlefield game is really weird because we do have an example of a game that didn't have it, and that was Bad Company 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a bad thing at all. In fact, a lot of players really loved not having a prone option. Right. Yeah. So maybe in a future game we can take away prone again, and just to see what happens. I would love to see it, just to see what happens. And hey, you know what? If people want it and if it doesn't work, add it back in. But I would like to see it experimented with again.
It helps with map design too.
Yeah,
I would think. To a point.
To a point, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next topic here. Manifest got updated. I know we touched upon this the previous show, but I just wanted your quick takes on the Manifest 128 players and 64 player Conquest and Breakthrough. Did you, VonRuhm, were you able to get your hands on the new Manifest? What do you think?
I'm glad that they changed the layouts of where it starts, and they avoided that back area where there's like some kind of like loading station, and it's no longer part of the map. That was the worst area of that map when it came to Breakthrough or just in general. But I like it better. I like it better than it used to be overall. It is a lot more playable. However, if it were up to me, I would still remove a shit ton of those cranes, man. Those cranes are a pain in the ass with people.
Yeah.
There's even somewhere it's like you can't even find the.
You can't go up it. Yeah.
Exactly.
They
right.
took
And
the
then
wires away from some of those. Like, why? Like,
yeah.
you need to get up there.
You have to climb the ladder. There's like an egregious yellow ladder on both sides. Like, what is this?
And there's always some asshole just like waiting like this, waiting for people to go up it, and the whole match they'll just be sitting there waiting like
the whole time. Yep.
So fucking annoying. But overall, it's a way better change. Yeah. Other than some of those cranes.
I will say that as a map, it's an improvement over what it originally was. I didn't care for it in the beginning anyway, and guess what? I still don't care for the map now. I still think it is an annoying map to play on.
Yeah.
I hate to go the way of saying that there's too much cover, but there's people everywhere, and the spawn locations are wild.
Spawns are crazy.
There's always people on the cranes. The flags, to be fair, are still too far apart. Yeah.
Still too
whether it's the 64 or 128. And the 128 or the 64 is the A flag, the A1 is literally on top of the gimme flag or the main base for the US side, and the RU side is the other C1 flag is completely on top of the main base for the other flag. So it's like there's no point to go to those flags. So you're constantly running back and forth. And then in the meantime, I think, okay, so at 64, the main kind of rotation you go with, because there's only one of the flag on the B flag now. There's only one flag at the top of the map. So it's kind of pointless to go up there because you're not, fighting like you are in the 128 version. So you're rotating around the dock side. And the most annoying thing now is you have to engage in that verticality of the cranes. There's always somebody annoying. And if you stay away from the cranes, then there's always some annoying jerk prone on the on the crates on the hill with a railgun or an LMG, and it's just like
they're just sitting there prone.
Yes, and
they need to make that an out of bounds area until we go up there. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
And you're trying to cap a flag, and there's so many open angles towards the hillside. They go like you can see over certain crates. So you're trying to hide in a corner while you're capping the flag, and then wham, you're dead. It's like, from where? I'm like surrounded by crates. Oh, right. And the exposed hill mountain over there, like a million miles away.
And the defending team on a breakthrough can still sit up on that hill without anything because it's part of the defending team zone, and they're not helping defend, and they're just annoying people. They can put a tank up there and just defend with a bolty or a Humvee and just shoot down into the map without being encountered at all.
Yeah.
It's excruciatingly annoying. On top of that, the amount of extra obstacles and cover that they added along the rest of the map down on the dockside, vehicle play is is a non-factor. You cannot tank on that map anymore. Like there is you are constantly hitting things and getting shot in the rear. And of course, the tanks being the tanks, there's no defense or anything against it, and you can't turn the turret fast enough to deal with it. So yeah,
that's being changed. That's being changed, but
yes. But the acceleration deceleration is also a problem with the tanks. But yeah, it's again, the map is better, but it's still a pain in the ass to play. Yeah.
Okay, I think that wraps up really well there, right there. Yep. Okay, let's move on. So that's Manifest, and we're gonna have Breakaway coming up later in the season. That should be a really interesting one because that's one of the biggest maps in the game. and they're completely removing massive sectors. Rest in peace to trailer sector. That's the first thing you see. That's being removed from the game now, which is very sad. But I guess for some people, but anyway, so that's coming up later. And then we got the class system coming up as well. Let's just touch upon the class system just real quick. I asked a question: how should new players prepare for the class system? Is there anything they need to watch out for? Gravity? Any like are they going to be annoyed or confused? Perhaps.
No,
I know there's new gadgets and whatnot coming in. Is it just going to be like, oh, it's just like normal Battlefield back in the day? Just...
I would think that's exactly what it is. I don't think there's going to be any. I mean, they're going to have to learn the specialists and their abilities anyway, which is it's just another learning curve. I don't think it's anything. I don't think it's too difficult at all.
Do you think the proficiencies on certain guns are going to actually work? Like to where people should actually use a sniper gun.
I don't think the proficiencies matter at all. Really, I think those are a non-factor. Like
people are going to
you can hold your breath longer as a recon. Who cares, right? Nobody holds their breath in this game anyway. It's a matter of. I think the problem is as long as the game in the UI has a tooltip that shows exactly what the specialist does and what the class does and what the bonus thing is, I think that's fine. I think that'll solve your learning curve. And I think it needs to clearly state what items and gadgets are available or restricted to each class before you select them. There needs to be a very clear idea of that before.
Right now, in certain portal modes, it'll just be like a red thing, or it won't let you spawn.
In portal,
sure. It'll be like I've seen some modes there that say, "Oh, you can't do it while you're this class." Right? They kind of like mimic that. But what do you think, VonRuhm, about the class system coming up? Are you going to get annoyed by any of these changes that you know of, or what do you think?
For me personally, I cannot wait. No more fucking Row hack Stinger combo for good. That's finally going to be not an issue.
Okay.
But I think overall it'll be a better thing. I feel like there should still be a lot more restrictions on how many people, like maybe even not like have it shown, or it's kind of like an. I mean, obviously they would probably have to address it, but I mean, I feel like there should be a limit on how many certain gadgets are being used at once. Because, like I said, there's people
right.
all just like, all right, well, full squad, let's all run. One person will run a SOFLAM, and everybody else will run the a fucking rocket launcher, or like everybody's running Stingers, or like I feel like there should still be. I mean, the point of a class system is to introduce balance and not spam.
Right.
Just newbie. I don't want to say newbie, but you get what I'm saying. Just like stuff that's just cancerous to the overall flow of the game. I feel like overall though it's going to be a good thing. I'm been looking forward to it for a while. I feel like tanks are going to be more viable now because of it.
And they have the APS coming up on it as well.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
Later.
I don't think that's going to matter. That's a different topic I'd like to talk about, the APS on tanks, but yeah, go continue.
Okay.
I just feel like it's going to go one of two ways. Either everybody's going to be running around as Crawford and Boris, because they all love the Stingers and rocket launchers, like the majority of the players, or it's finally going to, people are going to have to choose between like their favorite, aspects of certain, like if they like to play Sundance or like McKay or whatever, just because of their gadgets and their abilities, and it'll literally probably just give them enough of a choice to be like they'll have to actually have some kind of compromise instead of just mixing the worst of the worst, or I guess just like the stuff that's just completely broken in the game if you spam it. So I don't know. I feel like it's going to be an overall good thing. It's what it needed. This game needed from the beginning.
I'm surprised they didn't just release the game with this idea in mind, it seems so much like whoever was in charge at DICE didn't even want the class system. They just wanted the specialist system.
Yeah, that seems to be a trend in a lot of like, not even just gaming, but just like we can go as far as like franchises, movie franchises, whatever. Like this idea of like, well, we needed to destroy everything that came before, and we need to,
bring in the new. Yeah,
Ray Skywalker everything basically.
That they did that to like classes. I mean, they kept the pseudo class in there, like, Irish is an engineer type class, right? But he has his own stuff and everything. Now it's going to be more clear. Here, and I'm just still surprised that this wasn't the actual vision at the beginning, but whatever. We're getting it. It's coming out.
I'm glad. I'm glad it's going back the right direction.
Yeah. One thing I guess I just wanted to. Are we at an hour now at this point?
Hour and 5. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, one thing I wanted to talk. Just do the last topic here, and then we'll get into overtime stuff. I was watching a YouTube video. I apologize. I forget the name of the YouTube channel's name, but it had a great idea about like, or there's an issue. There's an issue of bloat in 2042. And basically he's saying that there's so much stuff. I mean, even what you just said when you were talking about the jet balance and like what jets need to worry about, and then what they have as offensive tools, like things.
Right.
Yeah, in comparison, like he did that, but for infantry players. And it's like there's so many things. Like the first example was grenade spam. I was like, there's not really grenade spam. But when he brought it up in a specific way where, did you know you can actually throw 3 grenades all in like a matter of 1 second by just being in a specific spot with the ammo bags. You can get one for yourself and your friend, and then you can throw 3 grenades like simultaneously if you're doing like breakthrough or something. That was one example. And then from all the other different things they got to worry about, like grenade launchers, all the things on like vehicles like MAVs, they have like a bunch of different types of launchers and mortars on it. You're getting shot from the sky with a bunch of things, and then all the gadgets that all the specialists have. There's so many of them. You got to worry about so many different situations, such as the wall hacking lady you got to worry about. McKay is grappling up above you where you can never go. You got sentinels out there that you know if your grenade's been blocked or not, or and then they'll throw it back on you. There's spotting grenades that can be thrown out, and you got to worry about that. And he goes on and on and on about all the different pieces of equipment that, and offensive tools that can come and kill you. And he's like, one of the best ways to deter this is to have the class system involved, to where things are limited. You limit the amount of gadgets. So he really wishes that the next game that comes out gets rid of the specialist idea, but keeps the specialist gear as an option.
There have been a lot of streamers, myself, Kinetic, have kind of proposed ideas of that. Of, Kinetic has ideas of grouping them into different specialists and keeping the gear. I've had ideas of rebalancing the system of, go back to the old class system where you have just bland soldiers for each thing, but keep the abilities, and you can kind of choose between the abilities as one unique specialist ability. So, hey, multiple people can choose grapple, hook, or not. Yeah, I think I think just going back to the old way is a much better balance feature than
it may be more bland to these Zoomers out there, but in hindsight, hopefully people realize that they're dying less to less bullshit, and the game is less annoying. Sometimes simple is better, especially for a Battlefield game. It had a simple premise of class system and squad team play. And there just wasn't an overabundance of things and gadgets and mortars and like there's just so much in 2042 now that limiting things, like just like something as easy as implementing the class system will automatically start limiting these gadgets.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why they were thinking of stopping doing specialists, because if they kept adding more specialists, there'd just be more bloat in the game. There's more things you got to worry about. So that's probably why they were happy with where they are now. One more specialist and that's it. I don't know.
I understand the concept of the special. I mean, I get the specialist because the grab is the skins. I feel like I feel like that's the biggest thing. But you can still have specialists and have them be like, let's say you take away all their gadgets like McKay's grappling hook, but each one can still have a passive, and then you can still choose what you want as a gadget. So like let's say hypothetically,
I see what you're saying.
They bring over all the same specialists, let's just say. And then, but none of them have like, like they don't have their grappling hook. They don't have their, the wall hack shouldn't even be in the game, but just all of that stuff, right? But then you can choose a character based off of their passive and whichever one cosmetically you like. And then you can choose via gadgets that are separated into certain categories with the class system that you're able to actually mix and match with, So like imagine if like McKay had a trophy system, you know what I'm saying, or like you guys were saying, like it was something that's separate, but then you can still, if the game and the company still want to have characters that have different skins and things like that, you can still do that, but remove it and organize it. I think I
feel like that's where they most likely will go, but this new team that they have is so different from what Battlefield had in the past.
Right.
I know what's his face? Mr. Battlefield, like he just got replaced with that new guy that came in. So I'm not sure. Do you guys know his background at all? Gravity? Have you heard of him before?
But I mean,
yeah.
I'll just say it's about time.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
I love Lars Gustafsson, but yeah, that's there's the last couple 3 games have kind of shown that's getting stale.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that's pretty much it for this episode of the Battlefield Show. We covered tons of great topics, talked a lot about jets and everything. We'll stick around. We're going to be talking about some overtime stuff here coming up. But VonRuhm, thank you so much for coming on the show. Any last words or anything that you wanted to put out there? Where can people find you?
Oh yeah, of course. I stream on Twitch. Starting to upload a lot more, videos on YouTube, shorts, things of that nature. So you can find me on YouTube, Twitch, obviously Twitter, VonRuhm TV. Yeah, I mean, if there's any other quote I would want to leave it with is rocket pods and JDAMs on jets. Rocket pods and JDAMs on jets.
Get it done.
Yeah.
All right, links are down below for VonRuhm. Is it VonRuhm? Have I been saying it wrong the whole time?
Yeah, it's VonRuhm. VonRuhm.
Okay, so I've been saying it wrong. That's totally fine. That's okay.
VonRuhm. I was like, oh, that sounds easier. Okay, VonRuhm. All right, sir. Thank you so much for coming on in. Gravity again. All right, everybody, stick around for some overtime, and hopefully we'll catch you next week. All right, bye-bye. Happy holidays, too.